Hello and welcome to day two. We are talking about setting goals, midterm goals, long term goals. And I want to say a special thank you to Ruth L. Snyder. You'll be hearing more about her throughout this conference. She is one of our featured sponsors. And if you're looking to get your book written, she can help you get everything set up in less than 30 days. So I just want to kickstart with that. And if you have not gone to amplifyher.net/1010 event to register for this event, you'll want to do so because you'll get all the inside for some fun bonus resources. But tune in here. And if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, make sure that you share this. You never know who needs to hear the message. And today, I'm very excited because we are talking about setting goals effectively. And this whole event, I've talked about John 10:10 and that abundant life and that fullness and bringing things through to completion. We've talked about getting the chaos into order and lining up with God's perfect will for your life. So today, I am really excited to get into goal setting. And I won't get into all the nitty gritty of it, but I would tell you we're going to revisit more of this topic throughout the next 8 days. But I'm coming from James 2:26. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. So we're going to talk about taking action. And I have a special guest, Natsi Kalelo, who is just such a beautiful name, first of all. And I hope I said it correctly. Coming all the way from South Africa, she specializes in public speaking. She is all about empowering others and just stepping out with your goals and your vision. And she has a big goal that's happening in only a few hours. And we'll talk about that. I have some questions about that too. But can you introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about you for those who may not have come in contact with you before?
Thank you so much, Latrice, for having me. My name is Nontsigelelo Masondo. I am from South Africa. I am a budding author of a book called Resilience about just ladies, and I work full time as a PA, public personal assistant for the municipality at Ixopo, and I am glad to be in your presence.
Yes. And now you talked about, I think this is something big. You mentioned that you're getting ready for a marathon. I don't know if you mind talking about that and just some things coming up for you. But when it comes to goals, I would love to know what's a big goal that you have, or if you wouldn't mind talking about that, and how do you get yourself set up to prepare for that?
Well, all right, thank you. I have right now in 3 hours time, I'm actually going to go and do a race. That is what I was talking about. Um, in South Africa right now, it is actually just 2 a.m. in the morning. So to have the goal is literally to just put everything and you write it down. The Bible talks about that you have to make your goals known and that you have to write it down. So for me, it's very important that when you are doing something that is very important to you, that you write it down. So that you do not forget it, because once you write it down, it's somewhere that you can be reminded of it every day, and you know that you need to go and do it. So I have a race in about 3 4 hours time. Okay, it's at 7 in the morning, so that is what happened. So I've been actually exercising, waking up early in the morning to exercise and get my body ready for it. So the biggest goal that I have this year is actually to graduate, because I'm doing my second semester for my degree. So that is what that's the biggest goal. The other one is to actually finish up my book and get it published, because I want people to know how strong and powerful women are. It's about, I'm writing a book about strength and resilience.
That is powerful. And I want to talk a little more about this because I know I love that you talked about writing it down, because sometimes
Mm.
we can think with our goals, I'll remember it, and time goes past and we've actually forgotten the very thing we committed to. And I can't tell you how many times I've looked back. I create this list I call my let God list, like where you let go and let God. And I've looked at this list and gone back and seen how many things have actually happened just by writing it down. But something else that I think is really amazing that you're doing, is stepping up, even when you may not feel like it. The fact that you're up at 2 a.m. and you have a race in a few hours, I know sometimes, we can get discouraged and think, I don't feel like it. I'm tired, or this, it's not easy. So, what would you say? How have you been able to push through, even when it's not convenient, even when you don't feel like getting up? How have you been able to keep showing up?
For me, what I've found, and with everyone, if you read any books, when you read your Bible, it's you have to take the emotions out of how you are feeling, because if you go with feelings, you're never going to do anything. You're never going to lose the weight. You're never going to go and run. It's about reaching that destination or that goal, because like you said, you write it down, but then after writing it down, if you're not feeling like it, you can just forget it. It is, if I can just put it down to something that is a lot of women have gone through, some women gone through, it's like giving birth. When the baby is ready to be birthed, it doesn't care whether you're ready or not. That's when you feel the contractions and it starts pushing. So it's like, how much are you willing to give up to reach that goal and get that destination done?
I love that analogy, because even with that, with pushing that baby, even
Mm,
it feels so tough. It can be so hard in the moment and you want to quit. But what's so amazing is at the end result, when that baby is delivered, it's almost
oh,
as if you forget about the pain. It's like
yeah.
the joy of, fulfilling that, it overrides what you had to endure to get there. So it's an incredible payoff. What would you say has been a habit of yours, whether it's been through school, through how you show up for work, and even, preparing for this marathon? What's one habit, or maybe even if there's more than one that stands out to you that you've really stuck to, that's helped you to keep going?
Okay. First of all, I love God. So for me, um, there's a scripture that talks about commit your plans to God, and they will become successful. So I write down my goals, and then I start praying about them. And then I just don't end it praying about them. I do my research. How am I going to get this done? As I spoke to you earlier, I'm trying to get my book across. I've written it down, but now I'm looking at places where I'm going to get it published. You don't just end up by writing it and praying. Then you go about and getting your steps. How am I going to do this? Who are the people who've done what I've done before? Who can I talk to? Do you get a coach for this? You know, and you do your own research, and then you start pushing. Because if you don't push, I said before, you are not going to get the ability to hold the baby. Is this thing important to you? How important is to you? Then you have to push. You have to get up and do those steps that you need to do. And that's it. Go after your goals.
That I love that you said that too, with keeping God at the forefront. And I've learned this because there's a way that we're taught to do things that requires the hustle, and you just got to go, go, go and get all of
Mm,
the checklist. Or there's a way that when God does it, I believe that He allows us to enter into a place of rest. So we're
yeah.
able to have those divine connections. He'll bring the right people at the right time. It's just more about obedience in those moments. So when we can just be obedient to what He's telling us to do, like you said, if God is telling you to write this book, write the book. You don't know how it's going to get birthed. You don't know. I've had conversations. I was standing in the line at a bank and doors opened.
Mm,
My husband is the king of this. He'll go to just be getting something to eat and have like the best connection with someone that opens an
yeah.
incredible door. So it's really us showing up with what we have, and then trusting God on the back end, or the front and the back, to bring everything together in His divine timing. So I would say, if you could speak to someone right now that maybe they're feeling like last year they set a goal, it didn't happen. They tried to write the book before, or they tried to start the business, or they tried to go to school, or they tried to trust God, whatever it may be. They tried it before and they feel like it didn't work. How do you, what advice would you give someone, or what encouragement would you give them when it comes to continuing to stand on that thing and continuing to do it, even when we don't know how it's going to work out?
Well, for me, it's it for me. I will have to encourage them and let them know that they must accept failure as part of the process. If you go and you read the Bible, um, Moses, when God had spoken to him and told him that he was going to set free the Israelites, when he went about and did it his own way, according to his own way, with his own strength and his own power, that's when all things went wrong. But the one thing that I love about God is that even if we go on a different route, he has a way of making all things to work together. Even if you go further than you ever thought, it will always come together. If you read books of successful people, the person who created a plastic container, they didn't just wake up and then the plastic container came to pass. If you look at someone who has given birth to a baby, the baby is not born walking. It's a process. So accept failure as part of the process to get you stronger. And we become stronger, it's easier to become successful. Like with me, I'm going to go on a race today. But once I didn't just start off as a runner, it's a process. I had to start with training, and little by little, I'm getting there.
I absolutely love the way you worded that. It's the process. And I think a
Mm,
lot of times we want to get the fruit, but we don't want to plant the seed, water it, and wait for it to grow. And sometimes we're waiting for the tree, we're waiting for the plant, we're waiting for the fruit, but not
yeah.
understanding that sometimes there will be days where you need to continue to water the seed. You have to continue
Yes.
to nurture and take care of the seed. So if you were to say one thing that you hope, even with not just from the book that you're writing, but even with you showing up how you are right now, if people could just take one thing away from your message and what you hope that, what you believe God has as your assignment here on this earth, what is that thing that you hope people take away from you?
I hope that people can understand. Coming from South Africa, we have a history of apartheid, where as Black South Africans, we were not even allowed to do anything or even begin to dream. I do not know if people know of people like Trevor Noah, who I from a mix. He's a mixed from black mother and a white father, but he dreamed big. Do not stop dreaming and do not look down on the small steps that you are taking. Take baby steps to get to anywhere or anything. Um, it becomes compounded. Let me put it like that. Even when you're saving money, you do not become an instant millionaire. But if you keep on doing the work, you keep showing up for yourself, for the dream, I promise you, it comes to pass in big and incredible ways. You must never give up if it's important to you.
The compound, you have dropped so many nuggets, and I hope those of you that are watching that you will take time to re-listen to this, because sometimes we can hear something and we're like, oh, that's good, and we don't realize that some one little thing that you implement can change the trajectory of your life. And I love that you talk about that, just the experience of being in South Africa and the experience of a lot of times our environment, our
Mm,
history, our community can say no, that's not possible for you. It can say no, these opportunities aren't available to you. But what I love, even how you talked about the compound effect, is it's not about all the big things. Compounding is it's the little small things you do each day. It's waking up and making a commitment that for the next every day God gives me breath, I'm gonna wake up and the first thing out of my mouth is going to be thank you, gratitude, worship. Just
yes.
some of those small things can change the trajectory of your life. So who would you say, and it doesn't matter, like whether it's a person, whether it's a biblical person that has inspired you, who would you say is someone that's really inspired you, their story, and that because of that it's helped you to continue?
Unfortunately, the people who inspired me are no longer here. It is my mother and my father, um, where we grew up in a place where, like I did say, that South Africa is hard to dream. I do not know if people know of a company called Reader's Digest. It was an international company back in the day. So my father and my mother joined this club, and they would buy books. And from there, they taught us the power of reading, of dreaming further. And of course, they put this inside our system and in our lives to pray, to go to church, to take one day at a time, and do not allow where we come from to dictate where we need to go. That if we put me and God, we are definitely going to be successful. So those are the people that inspired me. Obviously, it's our late president, Nelson Mandela, who was even willing to die for our country so that we can have the liberty. Look at me, I'm South Africa and I'm talking to you. That is huge.
Huge. And we know both from both of the histories of South Africa, the US, where I'm at right
Mm,
now. It's just a testament to even see how even things that people intended for your bad. And I'll say this too, for when we're thinking about our goals, we have to remember and stand on God's word. All things work together for the good for
yes.
those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So as you said, even when we're going through that process, sometimes I really want to encourage you all today. Sometimes it was something that you attempted in times past and it didn't work. And you're frustrated and you're thinking, well, because it didn't work, that was a sign for me to quit. That was a sign that I wasn't supposed to do it. Sometimes, as you shared this as well, it's God strengthening us. And sometimes it's just out of season. And the something can be such a huge blessing for you in the right season. And if you do it out of season, sometimes it's God's protection for you that that door didn't open, that the way that you thought it was supposed to be, that relationship, it didn't work out the way that you expected it to, that business didn't grow the way that you thought it would grow. And I even think about this in business. I don't want to mess this statistic up, so y'all look it up, make sure you get the accurate one. But what I found at one point, it was that most millionaires are on their seventh to eighth venture by the
Yes.
time they reach that level of financial success. So it took 5, 6, 7 times of failure for them to find the thing that was going to work and really catapult. But if we give up and we think that because we failed once or twice, we're now disqualified, we can't keep going through to finish it. So I really want to I know we're going to get ready to wrap, but it's huge to me that you're doing a marathon. Like, I think that's incredible. So have you run into any challenges, as you've been preparing for that, and how have you been able to overcome it if you have come into any challenges?
Well, thank you for asking. Yes, I have run into challenges. Okay, I'm allergic to the rain. Funnily enough, that is one of the challenges that I've run into. So there are certain times when I cannot go out and run and practice the way that I want to because I have an allergic reaction to rain, and I have learned to found ways to work around the allergic reaction. Sometimes I have to just um, take my exercise inside the house, inside the gym, not necessarily go out the way that I want to. And there are times when my body is refusing to exercise. And there are times when mentally I am so exhausted because I cannot see myself finishing it. But then I have to push through. And sometimes just the body, physically, there are injuries and all that, but you put in the work, you exercise, you tell yourself that you are capable and you're able. And then, of course, I'm not doing this by myself. I do have a team. I've got friends that I'm doing this with. I joined a club and they will call me and they keep me accountable. So if you're doing it alone, you're always going to fail. But if you have a team, you're bound to be successful.
Oh, that's so good. And we talked about that yesterday. Dr. Shantae, she was talking about how to identify when it's time to be quiet and when it's time to get a team behind you, when it's time to get wise counsel, when it's time to get connected. So I love that you spoke about that again, because we can feel like we're on our own, but you're really not. So y'all listen, get connected to this event. You can go to amplifyher.net/1010 event. I want to shout out again Ruth L. Snyder, who will help you to get that book. And I know you've talked about getting a book. from book to idea to first draft in 30 days. And that's her link right there. A book can open up so many opportunities for speaking engagements, collaborations, building your business. If you have a vision and a message, it could really help. And a workbook adds value. And I've been able to use Ruth's book, her workbook, and it's phenomenal because it takes all the guesswork out of getting through that process. We'll be talking more about that, but I just want to thank you, Ruth, as one of the featured sponsors for our event. And you'll be seeing more about that. So if you're looking to write your book, make sure that you go to that link. But before we close, I want you to share with us, for those that want to get connected with you, to learn a little more about what you have coming up. How can we support you, and what do you hope we walk away with today?
Oh my goodness, Latrice, first of all, I just want to thank you. I do not know that you know how this is so huge for me. Just talking to you has been opening doors for me. But for people who are looking for me, they can find me on LinkedIn. That is the only platform that I am at right now, because I'm still trying to get myself in there. It's I can spell my name. It's NTSIKE Masondo. I'm just at LinkedIn. It's Sige Masondo, Nonsigelelo Masondo. They can find me on LinkedIn and they can connect me with me there. And then, of course, there is also my WhatsApp number. But if you just send me a DM on WhatsApp, then I will be able to just connect with you and talk with you and move on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I know, and I've said this, if any of you are a part of this event, those of you who have been tuning in each day, I know that this is God ordained. I truly believe that it is. I've been praying about the speakers for this event. And in times past, I will usually have 100 plus people participating. And I prayed this time, God, each day, let the right person be available and for us to connect so that you can share what you would have for us to hear. So I think it's not a coincidence that you were up at 2 a.m. in the morning in South Africa, streaming across the world to encourage someone else that they can go after their dreams. So my hat is off to you. I'm very, I'm thankful, and I don't take it lightly that you've taken time out to be here today. And I'm wishing you so much success in your race as it's coming up. And I think it's just so fitting as we're talking about our goals that you are getting ready to do that. You are definitely an inspiration. So thank you for being a part of day 2 for the event.
And thank you for hosting this. I thank you for amplifying women. That is the only thing. With women, we can do, nothing is impossible if women stand together. So thank you so much for uplifting us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And to God be the glory for all that is coming. And you all, we have 8 days remaining, 10 conference, 10 days, 10 interviews to help you maximize the remainder of your year. No matter when you're tuning in, if you're catching us live or the replay, make sure that you take a moment to share this event. If you want to get some behind the scenes resources, you can go to amplifyher.net/1010 event to learn more. My prayer for you all is that you can walk in John 10:10, where Jesus says, I've come. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I've come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And another version says, have it to the fullness. And I believe it's time for us to start walking in completion and walking in fullness. And that starts with just being obedient and showing up in whatever capacity God is calling you to show up. So thank you again, you absolute queen coming from South Africa. Thank you to everyone. Yes, and I will see you all tomorrow for day 3. So take care.